There was only one woman appointed to lead an ASX 300 company in the past year out of 23 CEO appointments in that time. It's reignited the debate about the need for diversity in senior leadership on boards as well of major companies. And in recent months, there's been the first known Indigenous person to join the board of a major company when former West Australian Labor Treasurer Ben Wyatt joined the boards of Woodside and then Rio Tinto, the latter which still faces significant criticism after the mining giant blew up the 46,000-year-old caves in the Juukan Gorge, sparking global condemnation. The appointment of Ben Wyatt also shone a spotlight on the lack of diversity on boards and in senior governance roles. Mikaela Jade is the founder and CEO of Indigital, an accomplished board director and a member of the Global Future Council on Virtual and Augmented Reality. Mikaela is from the Cabrogal clan from the Durag Nation and joins me now. Welcome to the program.
Hi Dan, thanks for having me.
Good to have you along. So just how important is it for there to be companies thinking about women on their boards, in their leadership roles, and Indigenous people as well?
It's absolutely essential and for probably very obvious reasons. So gender balance and culturally balanced leadership contributes to better decision making, company performance and culture. And I'm lucky enough to work with 6,000 young people across Australia through my company Indigital. And what they're saying to us is they want to have careers that don't make them choose between people, planet and profit. So it's really important that they can see leadership within the organisations they're choosing to either work in or buy products and services from.
Quite often when we see change, it's because there's been an outcry or outrages in the case of Rio Tinto, perhaps. I wonder if it's those 6,000 young people that you're working with that might actually be saying to companies, do you know what, this is not okay.
Yeah, I'm absolutely certain that's what they're saying, and we're seeing that internationally too with the youth movement that's powering ahead with tackling climate change and holding companies to account for their actions on not just climate but on culture and environmental issues as well.
Whenever this discussion comes up, there are inevitably some people that say, well, actually, it's about the best person for the job. But we know that that's just not the case. In fact, just today news that KPMG is now looking at having people from lower class parts of society as part of their workforce because they haven't been getting the unconscious bias part right.
Yeah, so I like to use a different language around people that are underrepresented. As a Cabrogal Darug woman, I don't believe we're underrepresented. I believe we're overexploited peoples. And overexploited peoples rarely have opportunities to come into senior management in organisations, which can in fact lead to other CEO roles or even positions on boards.
And when you say that overexploited, I wonder if you're referring there to being asked to sit on advisory groups but never paid board roles, or in leadership committees but never into the leadership team.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, Dan. I get asked to be on boards a lot. I am on a few boards in Australia, and there are many incredible, hundreds and hundreds of talented Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples that sit on boards across this country every day with skills, knowledge and experience. But for some reason, we're not being asked to fulfil those same duties in the big corporates across Australia.
There was an article a couple of years ago that said there are essentially 6 degrees of separation of people on those major boards in Australia. So how much of that is being part of the club to get a role within the club?
I think it's quite a bit, and we know that power is at its most effective when it's least observable, and it's also the greatest feedback loop in all systems. And definitely I think there is a degree of knowing people in organisations in order to be requested to be part of senior management teams or in leadership teams. And if your organisation isn't making opportunities to work with First Peoples or inviting them into your company, then it's going to be pretty impossible to get those networks in order to actually get roles on boards and in senior management.
Yeah, and there's often that view put that the key thing about diversity is that if you've got different views around the table, then you'll have different approaches to solutions, to strategy, to doing business. I wonder what you see as the key driver, that most crucial, important point.
Well, I think Well, my experience is First Nations people are very strong on protecting our lands, our language, our knowledge, and providing opportunities for our communities. And we're very accountable to our people and our country. And sometimes it might be perceived as being incongruent with the business operations, that they might not want accountability around those things. Yeah.
And one of the interesting things is that so many companies, big and small in Australia, have reconciliation action plans, which we know are an important way of increasing diversity across the board. Sadly, though, so often those mean positions at the base, at the entry level as trainees and the like. I wonder, what do you think about this idea of having board roles and senior governance leadership roles embedded within those RAPs?
I think it's really important. If you're going to go and have a reconciliation action plan and be serious about intersecting and employing and supporting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities and peoples, you need to acknowledge that we have a diversity of skills and experience within our communities, and we're not always, we shouldn't always be just considered for cadetships and traineeships and lower entry points. I know hundreds of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that are completely capable and would be excellent in senior leadership roles in companies, who might not have the opportunity to be considered because I think the Chief Executive Women report around women said that the majority of CEO pipelines come from line area managers. And if we're not having the opportunity to access those roles, it's very difficult for us to be considered for higher positions.
Yeah, certainly many challenges there. But Indigital CEO and accomplished board director Mikaela Jade, great to have you along. Many thanks for your insights today.
Thanks, Dan.